And welcome to Time About the Movies Flashback, as we're flashing back today to March 6, 1987. And we have a good assortment of movies here. Some classic movies that restarted up the genre that was the buddy cop action movie. We have one of the more controversial movies of the year, featuring one of the stars from The Cosby Show. And one of Barry Levinson's two movies, the lesser of the two that were released in 1987. But let's start off with that first movie, the biggest new release of the weekend. And as, of course, Mel Gibson and Danny Glover and Richard Donner's Lethal Weapon.
He's a criminal's worst nightmare. A cop who enjoys the danger.
No guns, no jiu-jitsu, just bring him down.
Do you really want to jump? Well, then that's fine with me. Come on.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait a minute. What the...
He was ready to retire. Now, he's gonna wish he had.
Gun!
Raj, meet your new partner.
Fun.
Too old for this. If these guys can just stand each other.
What you got in there? Boy and Smith? A lot of old-timers carry those.
The bad guys don't stand a chance.
Don't kill anybody. Don't kill anybody.
I'm too old for this. Are you as good as you say you are?
Nobody can touch me.
Suppose we better register you as a lethal weapon. You ever met anybody you didn't kill?
Well, I haven't killed you yet.
Lethal Weapon. What more can you ask for that? I mean, you got Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, the direction of Richard Donner, that badass musical score. And this is where it all began. This is where that series began. And premise is simple. A pair of mismatched LAPD detectives, Martin Riggs, played by Mel Gibson, and who's a former Green Beret and has become suicidal following the death of his wife, and veteran officer and family man Roger Murtaugh, played by Danny Glover, work together as partners. And the rest is history. We all know what this series has gone on to do. 4 movies in the series. A 5th one that has been continuously in development. In fact, Mel Gibson was the last to say that he's working on that movie as a director. But we still have yet to hear about it. I mean, I don't even know if it's going to happen. But considering how Lethal Weapon 4 probably ended, it probably would be better to maybe do one more film. I mean, hey, who knows? It could turn out like Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Or it could turn out to be like most legacy sequels that don't usually end up working out so well. But regardless of that, though, the original Lethal Weapon is a classic movie. I really don't have to say too much more about it, per se. I mean, everything is there. Richard Donner was the right choice for the direction of this. Shane Black, one of his great scripts that he wrote. I mean, this is a film that really does show why the guy is a great writer and director as a whole. For some reason he can't do Iron Man 3 or The Predator correctly. Like, he can do stuff like Lethal Weapon and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and also The Nice Guys well, but when you get him in those bigger blockbusters, something just happens where he loses that magic. And this is a movie where it works to its advantages. I mean, the writing is great, the music by Michael Kamen and Eric Clapton is good. A great cast. It also includes Gary Busey as the villain. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? It's set around Christmas time. It has some of the most memorable action sequences you can ask for in a movie. But I mean, it's just such a good movie. It even spawned a really good television series that kind of came and went. It was on for like 3 seasons. It actually wasn't a bad show. It actually was a pretty decent show overall, with Damon Wayans in the Roger Murtaugh role, and who's Chase Crawford, I think it was, as Martin Riggs. It was him at first, and then they replaced him with Sean William Scott for the last season. Clayne Crawford was the guy I was thinking of, but it was actually not a bad show overall. And like I said, this was the movie that helped kind of jumpstart the buddy cop action movie genre again. Like, 48 Hours had set the tone 6 years prior to that, and now here you have this movie, and everybody else just tried to copy that success, and not many had that many big successes, but there have been some good ones here and there. But this was definitely one of those movies where they really took a chance on it, and it paid off big time. It was a massive hit, led to numerous movies, numerous sequels, series, video game. I mean, what more can you ask for, man? I'm really just stretching for time here because I really don't have much more to say about it. Great memorable lines, great chemistry by Gibson and Glover, the great direction of Richard Donner, the great writing of Shane Black. Lethal Weapon, man. Lethal fucking Weapon. What more can you ask me for? So let's go ahead and get to the other more interesting, more noteworthy movie that came out this weekend. Well, both of these are noteworthy movies, but this next one in particular was very interesting for the fact that one of the people in the movie was part of a controversy when it came out. This is, of course, Angel Heart.
Presents Richard Dreyfuss. I came home last night and she was sleeping on my side of the bed.
Danny DeVito.
It's temporary insanity. I don't know. It just came over me. Might have been something I ate.
Barbara Hershey.
I want to know what it's like to be with someone else.
In a very special, very different kind of comedy.
I love your wife and I want to marry her.
I'll go along with that as well.
Twin Men.
I like that name.
A Barry Levinson film. Rated R. Starts Friday at selected theaters.
Featuring a special appearance by Robert De Niro, even though he's all over the marketing for this. I mean, he's at the forefront of the poster, for God's sakes. But every time I see that, I think back to Mystery Science Theater 3000 during the giant spider invasion.
Special but unknown guest star.
How can you have a guest star in a movie?
Yeah. How do you have a guest star in a movie, honestly? But anyway, this is Angel Heart, but this is a film that had a lot of controversy behind it. This was actually based off of a novel called Fallen Angel, and it follows the story of Mickey Rourke, who plays Harry Angel, a New York City private investigator hired to solve the mysterious disappearance of a single known as Johnny Favorite. His investigation takes him to New Orleans, where he becomes embroiled in a series of brutal murders, where he comes across Robert De Niro and also Lisa Bonet, who was just on the Cosby Show at the time. And this was actually the movie that caused her to leave, to be essentially let go from the Cosby Show and given her own spin-off show in a different world, which is funny because she was only on there for one season and then eventually came back to the Cosby Show. So it really wasn't that big of a deal that when she left that show. But what's notable about this is that weeks before its theatrical release, this thing faced rating issues from the MPAA for one scene of sexual content, a scene that was 10 seconds long. I am not kidding. They had to remove 10 seconds of this to avoid an X rating and secure an R rating that the film's distributor TriStar Pictures wanted. And then they eventually put the footage back in there for the video release. And it really... 10 seconds? Something to tell you that that's not really a controversy in general, but apparently that's what it was. And, you know, there was a whole thing where, you know, they were desperate for the less restricted R rating at TriStar, and director Alan Parker didn't want to do that, and so he basically filed another appeal after that, and the board voted 8-6 in favor of the X rating, and so he basically had like 60 to 80 cuts in the space of about 2 minutes in order to get that scene to work as well as it did. And he said he only cut 10 seconds out of the movie, or about 14 feet of film. And then just a week before the movie came out, they got the R rating. And it's just like, it's one of those really stupid controversies that really does make you think about, like, what are the MPAA really looking at here? Like, it's a 10-second shot. I mean, even if it is something that is extremely explicit, like, a 10-second shot should not disavow you to have, you know, a rating of X on that. But going back to Lisa Bonet, like, you know, Bill Cosby actually was supportive of her decision to star in the film, but then he dismissed it as a movie made by white America that cast a black girl, gave her voodoo things to do, and have sex. Well, you know what, Bill? It's better than anything that you did in 1987 in terms of film. I mean, Leonard Part 6, yeah. I think I will take this movie more than I will take Leonard Part 6. I think anyone would, but... And again, pretty much any movie Bill Cosby did between 1987, between the time he was on the Cosby Show, like this or Ghost Dad, would be much more painful to watch than Angel Heart. Angel Heart, I think, would be the better movie to watch in general. Well, but yeah, Angel Heart is a pretty good movie. It is actually a really good film, but then again, it's Alan Parker. Alan Parker is a guy that doesn't get really much attention, but like, you really look at the movies he's made. Bugsy Malone, Midnight Express, you know, one of the first films written by Oliver Stone, Fame, Shoot the Moon, Pink Floyd The Wall, Birdie, Mississippi Burning, films we've talked about on this show. In fact, I think we've covered most of them up to this point, like Mississippi Burning, Come See the Paradise, The Commitments, The Road to Wellville, Evita, Angela's Ashes, The Life of David Gale. every one of those nearly every one of those movies is a tolerable movie. Some of them are not great, like Road to Wellville is kind of an overstuffed movie. Angela's Ashes is a film that's pretty good, but very tough to watch. Life of David Gale is a film that's kind of boring in general, but the guy very rarely misses. And this is a film where he does take that experimental pathway and does something unique and different with it. And I think he does play it off very well. Mickey Rourke's really good in the movie, too. This is back when people still respected him and actually gave him a chance in these type of movies. And you know, Lisa Bonet works very well here. It's her first adult role coming off of The Cosby Show, and she really does give it all in this. So does Charlotte Rampling, is also in the film as well. It's a very slick-looking thriller, a very stylistic, cool-looking film. I never read the book this is based off of, but it's definitely one that's worth checking out. I got a chance to see it when I got the Steelbook for it from Best Buy a couple years ago, you know, back in the day when Best Buy still had movies, which doesn't seem like it's that long ago. But for you kids out there who apparently have an attention span of a year, Best Buy used to have movies and steelbooks and Blu-rays and DVDs before they decided to screw over the people that would buy that stuff, myself included. But then again, Target did the same thing too, and let's be honest, Walmart will probably follow them in the not-too-distant future. But with all that said, well, getting back on topic here, Angel Heart overall, it's a good movie. It's a really solid film, a very slick, stylized thriller. It delivers what it promises, and it does give you a lot of good performances in here. I really like it. I think it's a very good film. Definitely check it out, Angel Heart. So with that said, let's move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is Barry Levinson's Tin Men with Richard Dreyfuss and Danny DeVito.
Presents Richard Dreyfuss. I came home last night and she was sleeping on my side of the bed. Danny DeVito. It's temporary insanity. I don't know. It just came over me. Might have been something I ate. Barbara Hershey.
I want to know what it's like to be with someone else.
In a very special, very different kind of comedy. I love your wife and I want to marry her.
I'll go along with that as well.
Tin Men. I like that name. A Barry Levinson film. Rated R. Starts Friday at selected theaters.
One of the many films from Barry Levinson's Baltimore series that includes Diner, Liberty Heights, Avalon, and here's another movie that obviously was largely forgotten in 1987 because there was a much bigger, successful Barry Levinson film that came out that year, starring Robin Williams in Good Morning Vietnam. So that means that this movie dumped near the dumping months of January and February. They probably think, well, this can't be that good. Well, not really. I mean, it's still a good movie. One step short of larceny, the aluminum siding salesmen in the movie sells their ware, compete with each other, and engage in a lot of great dialogue. Tin Men focuses on the rivalry between B.B. Bobowski and Ernest Tilly, played by Richard Dreyfuss and Danny DeVito. At the same time, the end of Small World, of which they are kings, loom near as a government probe investigates their industry. Once again, these IMDb descriptions. This one's actually written by somebody else, not the studio themselves, but yeah, some of these have really bad grammar to them, but yeah, this is a film that doesn't get looked as much as compared to other Barry Levinson movies in general, especially ones coming out around this time. But it's actually not that bad of a movie. I won't say it's a great movie per se, but it's actually a lot better than I think people let it be. I mean, I think it's a film that does kind of work in that same category of movies like Dino and Avalon and Liberty Heights. I mean, kind of like with Liberty Heights, this thing kind of came and went. Nobody really ever talked about it, and most people assumed that it was just a bad movie in general, and that meant that, you know, nothing good could come from it. But no, it's actually a good movie. You got Richard Dreyfuss and Danny DeVito. Barbara Hershey is also in here too. A cast that also includes John Mahoney, Seymour Cassell, Bruno Kirby. You know, just a phenomenal cast overall. A great score by, of all people, Fine Young Cannibals, who did, you know, She Drives Me Crazy, and also Good Thing, which is actually in the movie in this. And yeah, it's not a bad movie at all. It's actually a pretty solid film overall. I won't even say decent. It's a pretty solid film. Like, it's right up there in that same category of that Baltimore series of films that he was known for at that time, and it just works very well. But of course, Good Morning Vietnam would be the bigger success later on that year in 1987, so take that for what you will. But it really shouldn't take away from the fact that this movie is a good movie, a really good movie. It's a film that doesn't get talked about as much. You don't really hear people really say much about it per se. In fact, honestly, I didn't see it until very late on. I've seen most of Barry Levinson's movies at this point, but this was one of the last ones I needed to see. Of course, I haven't seen The Alternate Nights yet. This one I've been wanting to see. I've just been waiting to find the right time to get to it. But But yeah, this one's not that bad. It's actually a pretty good film, and one you should definitely check out. If you like Barry Levinson's work, this is definitely one of his more underrated movies that he made. So definitely check this one out, Tin Man. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movie's Flashback. We'll flashback to February 27th, 1987, as we take a look at the third installment of the Nightmare on Elm Street series, Dream Warriors. We also have the John Hughes written Some Kind of Wonderful. We also have Beyond Therapy, and also Number One with a Bullet. So 4 films to take a look at next time around. We'll take a look at them on the next episode next week. So, with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button, as well as check out the last episode we did, as well as our playlist as well. So, with all that said, I'm off. I'll see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.